Welcome to Married to Movies. Industry insiders John Russell and Tracy Kring live and work happily in cinematrimony. They're sharing behind-the-scenes adventures of writing, producing, and appreciating films.
Good morning, babe.
Good morning, babe. How you doing?
Good. You made a really weird trash salad omelet this morning.
Well, yes. So we are at the end of our 10-day cycle because we eat a lot of vegetables.
Yeah.
We go to this place called the Giant...
We look super unhealthy, but we're not.
Well, we're probably still unhealthy, but that doesn't mean we don't eat healthy.
I think we buy like a 10-pound bag of spinach every 10 days.
I don't know if it's 10 pounds, but...
Yesterday, we were actually at a business dinner.
Yes.
And we ended up splitting the meal, and we had this whole salad left over. So we just were like, well, we have this leftover salad. There's no toppings for our omelet this morning. Let's throw that salad on there.
Apparently to Tracy, it's not an omelet unless there's toppings. Gordon Ramsay would say that the classic French omelet is just egg. You don't need anything else, babe.
Well, I ain't French.
No, okay, that's true.
I am a little French. I will say we started the morning off like thinking it was going to be a business lunch, and we only had a finite amount of time.
Right.
And we were going to just like, let's work on Sky Valley, rewrite for like an hour.
Yes.
But then it got turned into a dinner, and we got to work on Sky Valley a bit more than we expected. We got to about page 28.
Yes.
Reading back, your own script. And
You were talking shit about yourself.
No, yeah, totally. But
who in God's name wrote this? I can't even. This is such crap.
I am fairly critical.
You mean you were fairly in your criticism goes across the board to everyone and everything.
I'll criticize the hell out of myself. Okay. Absolutely. If you think I'm dishing it out and I can't take it, I took it. I already took it. It's been took.
I can dish it, but don't be giving it.
Don't be giving it.
Don't be giving it to me.
Don't be giving it back.
No, I'm not good with criticism, but that's all right. I'm learning.
I mean, honestly, we wrote it, we read through it a couple times, but we did not okay, this is serious. We're making this into a movie. This has to be good. This has to sound right. We are very familiar with who the characters are.
Okay. I don't think that's entirely honest, because we wouldn't have been sending it out to people if we didn't think it was good, if we didn't think it was right.
It is good. And it is good. But this is like the highly critical pass.
Right.
Where we're imagining it being made.
Right.
We're imagining watching it on screen as an audience member.
Right.
And this has to get past all the smell tests. Okay, all of them.
I like it.
Stilted dialogue is just something that the minute I run across it, what happens is we're acting it out. And honestly, that's a lot of our writing process too.
Right.
One of us will end up taking on a character.
Right, exactly. And sometimes when I'm reading back something, and instead of reading it back exactly the way it's written, I'll add a couple of words, or I'll change the way that it's phrased, because it feels like to me that that's the way this character would say it.
Right, and I'll just type it right in when you do.
Exactly. Oh, okay, so, he had a little there, or he had a little, a little something here, just to make it a little bit more more conversational, man. Mm-hmm. Write your dialogue the way people talk. Everything isn't a complete sentence. Sentence fragments, run-on sentences, prepositional phrases, everything.
Run-on sentences, yeah. Sometimes we get feedback that, in Darcy, we had, this one person who was I'm a college graduate, I'm a film school graduate. They gave us some feedback, oh, yeah, there's a lot of grammatical errors, no, this character was written this way.
Right.
The way that I grew up hearing language delivered.
It was a very Aaron Brockovich scene where, remember, Aaron Brockovich comes in and the other highfalutin lawyer is like, yeah, you did a really good job, but, there's a lot of stuff we have to clean up here because, we don't you didn't know necessarily what you were supposed to do.
Their phone numbers aren't in the file. She's like, oh, whose phone number do you need?
And you want a list of their diseases, too?
Yeah, here's their kids. All you got is 2 left feet and fucking ugly shoes.
That's it. So it was one of those scenes, basically.
It's one of those, yeah. The line was, in ways you might not can account for.
Right.
Now, if you're from Tennessee, that's going to roll right off that tongue, okay?
In ways you may not...
No, see? You ain't from Tennessee.
Yeah.
You just outed yourself.
You may not account for?
No, in ways you might not can account for.
in ways you might not can account for.
That's right.
In ways you might not can account for.
You know, the Southern language, the Southern accent, and even in Appalachia, it's very from the British.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
It's just a slower British.
Right. Exactly.
And man, in Appalachia, you get some good vocabularies out there.
I mean, the Coen Brothers so understood this.
This is a line the Coen Brothers would be like, yep. Check it off. It's accurate. Okay, but everybody was just having a shit fit.
I remember in Raising Arizona, and John Goodman has this wonderful moment with a chicken leg, and he says, "We don't go anywhere except in there be purpose."
Everybody was saying, you know, our basically our writing was shit because of these kinds of lines. Because we're like nobodies, you know, we're not the Coen Brothers.
Right.
We have to explain ourselves.
This is still our blood simple period, folks.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, well, here, let me give you the line. The locals will end up, with pitchforks at our door, things get around in ways you might not can account for. And everybody's like, what's wrong with the line? Like, yeah, that sounds right. Because it's just delivered properly.
Right.
Now, when we get to set, the actress can
she could not do it. No.
And I'm telling you.
And she just said it and said in ways you can't account for is what she said.
In ways you can't account for.
Exactly.
If there was if it was the apocalypse and you had to you're at the gates to get in away from the zombies and you have to deliver a password and it's only people from Tennessee get in in ways you might not can account for, is the damn password. We're going through our own script that we've written together, and we get to a line, and I immediately stop reading and say, no, I cannot deliver that line.
And then she starts to kind of do a thing like you're stuffing a turkey or
okay, this is what it is.
Or fisting a booty. It's kind of like, we're really trying to get that in there.
It's like trying to fill every interior crevice of a turkey for Thanksgiving with stuffing. I'm like, get it in there! Get that in there!
We need some pathos! Get it in there!
We need a natural dialogue to come out of your mouth naturally, bitch.
Yeah, it was not good. So unnatural. It just came out of nowhere.
So, I'm like, well, the characters do know what's going on. Mm-hmm. And the characters absolutely should have a shorthand. There's a little bit more trouble broaching subjects, especially things that are touchy. Mm-hmm. You think about your own conversations and how you bring up something that's uncomfortable. Some character might do it very bluntly.
Sure.
But we needed to ease in, and it immediately, because I knew we put that line there, and immediately I knew there was a scene missing. Mm-hmm. I was just like, hold on, this is totally fucked. Of course, because as soon as I have problems, I get furious.
Of course.
To know how to fix them. I'm like, what the fuck? The first thing you do is ask me, well, have you ever been in a situation like this? I told you about, someone I used to work with. And
this is a gift that I feel like I have, which is listening to somebody else's story. And it's like Gold Rush, where I'm like, oh, there's the gold in it.
There's the glory hole.
There it is right there. Like, that little piece of what you just said is like, yes, that's exactly what we need. Well, you just keep talking, and you tell me all about this person, you tell me about their life, and then all of a sudden you say something, and it's like, that's what we need right there.
Right, and actually it becomes kind of the character's backstory.
Yes.
And it becomes part of her character.
Right, which is something that we were missing the whole fucking time.
Yeah, but all I had to do was just, remember, work this person, the stories that she told, and the circumstances she found herself in.
Right.
And it was great.
Oh my God, it was everything that we needed.
Then you don't have to worry about whether you're writing stilted or natural dialogue, because you have a fully fleshed character.
Right.
I know this person.
We're speaking about someone who actually has existed, so we know everything that they feel and everything that they do is true because it's already happened. Some of you out there might be going, yeah, but isn't that just like grafting on a limb to, something that it already exists or something like that?
I don't care.
Frankenstein walks, okay? He does. Nobody asks, what are the pieces of Frankenstein?
Thanks to our sponsor, Movie Mode Merch, the graphic t-shirt store to outfit you for your next film set. Be the person wearing the t-shirt everyone asks, hey, where'd you get that shirt? Cast and crew alike love these inside jokes and filmmaking-inspired designs. Check them out on Insta at Movie Mode Merch.
On the way home from our business meeting, we were just talking about
the business
of filmmaking.
The business of filmmaking. This part that you never really realized until you're actually making movies, which is how much of the time you're not going to be making movies.
Pretty much.
You're going to be talking about movies. You're going to be making charts. You're going to be trying to raise money. We've been sold this sort of bill of goods that, okay, we're going to go through this stuff and then we're going to hit a certain level someday. And then we're not going to have to do all that again.
It's not really true.
It's really not true. William Friedkin still bitches about, I can't get the money to make my movie.
Well, God, look at John Huston or Sam Peckinpah, for Christ's sake.
Francis Ford Coppola forever wanted to make this movie, which is most likely to absolutely bomb and absolutely fail, because the last 3 or 4 Francis Ford Coppola movies have not done well.
Testo?
Yeah, was that it? It was the one with our boy from Buffalo 66 in it. Yeah.
Vincent Gallo.
Oh, boy, that guy. Whew. Love me for some Vincent Gallo, but would not want to have dinner with him.
He's an opinionated.
He is a massive opinionated, and he was not born for this day and age. Buffalo 66 was a turning point for me as a film viewer, as far as like the potential of like an independent film.
Mine was like Kingdom Hospital by Lars von Trier.
Are you trying to kind of make it seem like you're cooler than me? I think you are.
I don't.
There was an elitism there.
I don't think that Kingdom Hospital is cooler than Buffalo 66. I just remember watching it. And
it's more obscure, though, so that makes it cooler.
Well, and supposedly they're coming out with like a new like sequel.
You know, the thing about Lars von Trier is he's not concerned about
or entertainment,
the aesthetic. He's not concerned about.
Totally not true.
Well, I understand, but as far as he doesn't mind if something looks homemade, if something looks low budget.
Not anymore.
Yeah, but Kingdom Hospital had a very low budget.
It was basically like broadcast television that he somehow landed this gig. I mean, it was not.
Yeah, but he also did Dogma
with this other guy.
Yeah, Dogma 95. Yeah. Is it 95? Okay, Dogma 95. Yeah, I thought it was 94, but you're
Dogma 95 because that's the year it was invented. I don't remember the other.
Which if you're not aware, wonderful listeners, it was basically a set of rules that filmmakers had to follow.
Music has to take place in the time and space.
Right. There is no lighting besides the natural lighting of the space.
Well, in the Dogma 95 era is when you started to hear practicals. A hell of a lot more.
Right.
Everybody wanted practicals, to be the motivations for light. Maybe that's just the era I was coming up in as a filmmaker, and that's why I heard it all the time. Maybe it was talked about constantly before that.
Right.
But I feel like Dogma really put that in everybody's mind.
It also is kind of like the mumblecore movement kind of was a response also to the Dogma movement. Also like the Duplass brothers. You start to get their early movies and this very stripped down version of independent film.
I really love the Dogma movies. Are they horribly entertaining? No. Just the knowing the restriction that they were putting on themselves, which I think can really, and that's kind of what happens on set.
Right.
You're just confronted with restriction.
Right.
And you're trying to figure out a way to work within that ecosystem.
Well, we've talked about how money will solve your problems on a set. But when you are constricted by certain things, let's say, for example, there is a sound outside. So all of a sudden, you're going to have to do something about that. Maybe the scene is now going to become a montage scene. And so you're going to have to find a really interesting piece of music. Maybe you're going to have to do a voiceover. That all came from restriction.
You have to enjoy every aspect, basically, if you're going to be an independent filmmaker,
And you keep hoping, well, maybe if I just find somebody to do the business part for me.
And you can. They're called, like, employees.
Honestly, the more you get okay with doing the business part, the cheaper it's going to be on you.
Put yourself in a position to learn it.
It's not fun.
Oh my God. Do you remember the time that we went through the SAG paperwork? We were on the SAG website looking through the materials there. There was like some verbiage and I kept getting stuck on it, like I do. And I'm like, hold on. The way they're explaining this either makes no sense to me, like I'm having a hard time cognitively, or this makes no damn sense. And this is written wrong. So, of course, like fucking little teacher's pet, we go and talk to our SAG representative at the time, our handler.
Hey, book report.
And I'm like, can you, I'm confused about this, blah, blah, blah. He calls us back and says, well, you have found a problem thousands of other filmmakers have never noticed before.
And because of that, we're not going to charge you anything.
No. And because of that, we are now going to beta test our new system for applying for SAG on you.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for that.
Well, hold on. I think I deserve like a cash reward.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to get put through.
Usually, if you're going to start doing experiments on me, I want some sort of like remuneration for that.
I was like, I feel like I should work at SAG because I would get that shit figured out. I would streamline that shit. But anyway, if you're hiring,
I would say I appreciate SAG they've made an attempt to kind of come into the modern independent film age. And, now it's like, $125,000, up to that rank, and then up to $250,000. I mean, back in the day, if you weren't like a $5 million film, SAG had nothing to do with it.
During COVID, they went out of their way to try to figure out how can we put in place, people not dying.
Oh, the SAG paperwork, it's so complicated. It's really not complicated. It's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of paperwork. But I mean, really honestly, I feel like they've streamlined it really well. It's easy to understand.
What time did they leave the hotel? What time did they get to set? When did they go to hair and makeup? I'm like, come on, just write down the damn time.
The only weird thing about the Exhibit G is that it's not in any sort of like timeline order, like from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. And these are all of the things that happened it kind of jumps around the timeline.
And concentration, when you're on set for like 15 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
good luck with that.
that can be hard. That can be hard with like people in your ear and, on your walkie and. But
one of the business aspects of filmmaking obviously is raising money. And one of the ways people raise money, one of the more popular ways in the independent world, is crowdfunding.
If you crowdfund, you don't have to pay the money back. I have worked with so many crowdfunding campaigns.
Oh, yes.
I have edited, their content, their pitches, their trailers, their works in progress. I have done a lot of that work. I know a lot about crowdfunding. We've been through it ourselves many times. First and foremost, I mean, it's a promotional campaign.
Exactly.
Okay, and it's a good way just to start building your fan base.
Right.
Okay, this is my issue. I cannot tell you how many times that I will be like, oh yeah, you need a trailer cut, okay, and it's gonna have, oh, you've already got some footage that you've shot, put that in there, we can put a little work in progress teaser together, and then I'm like, well, how many social media fans do you have? Like, what's your stats on Insta, Facebook, are you on TikTok, are you doing like YouTube shorts, what's your fan base? And they're like, it doesn't exist. And I'm like, well, how many personal like Facebook followers do you have, or whatever social media? And it's like, the normal, like a couple hundred or a couple thousand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, you understand, first of all, crowdfunding is a full-time job.
Yes.
If you're going to be successful.
I mean, you have to look at, when you start a crowdfunding campaign, you have to think about the fact, okay, so this is like going to work at McDonald's for the next 55 days.
No, there was a guy who was like, hey, you want to do something that's simpler than crowdfunding? Get a second job at McDonald's.
Remember when I said, just because something has happened doesn't mean that it could happen? Crowdfunding is a giant example of that, because they will convince you, they will show you, look at these things, millions of dollars people have raised, all of these things.
Well, I'll tell you a little story about that, and some people who we know who've had successful crowdfunding campaigns, and how we know what was actually going on. They had private investment money that they were feeding into crowdfunding to build it up bigger than it actually was.
Right.
And this happens.
And people want to get involved in something that's already successful.
Yeah, like you have to work the crowdfunding campaign. That is how people work it.
Yes.
Okay.
And you have to create content not once a day, multiple times.
Well, Seed and Spark is really interesting in that it's pretty much run by women.
Right.
But they have a model where they don't accept just anything.
Right.
They curate.
You have to be, you have to show them what you're going to do. You have to show them the campaign, and they have to accept you. Right. And I think that's great.
They only do like a certain amount of projects every month.
Right.
And it's a cycle. So just having them looking at your material, like we turned in several campaigns to Seed and Spark, and we would like fill everything out, do all this, and they'd be like, well, your rewards, your incentives aren't very compelling. You need more info in your bio. Your teaser, your video's too long.
Yeah.
You need to keep building your social media following. And they basically broke down. They sent us an email a PDF where they broke down the numbers, like how much it basically was going to make you back, how many emails you have to send every day.
Yeah.
How many personal connections you have to make every day.
I mean, I was on another crowdfunding campaign, and they were like, okay, so you're going to have to send out 100 invites and connections on all your Facebook every day. 100, folks. 100. I mean, that's a lot of time. It's not like, Facebook makes it easy for you to send, personal messages to, all your friends, to try, because actually I believe after you hit a certain number,
they'll stop you.
Yeah.
I actually talked to a guy who was involved in the creation of a MailChimp version for Insta.
Okay.
Where you could target and send out but it's only 100 messages a day. Who are the people with you, working with you in your campaign, and how many followers do they have? Are they willing? Because, this kind of cheapens their vibe, their online presence.
Right.
Whenever you start I'm part of this movie, they might push your movie.
Look, just because somebody has hundreds of thousands or millions of followers doesn't mean it's going to make any difference for your film at all.
No.
If there's no crossover, okay? Sure, if they're an actor, okay, people are used to seeing them acting. But if they're a influencer in some way, and then all of a sudden you're going to put them in a film and people don't know them as an actor, then it does not compute in their head.
I just thought of my number one rule when it comes to raising money. And we learned this very early on.
Angel investors.
No, my number one rule is don't expect to get money from other filmmakers.
Oh, that's true.
You know what? If somebody approached me and wanted me to give to their campaign, I might give them $50, $100, whatever.
Right.
But I need my money for my movie.
Right.
Other filmmakers are not where you're going to get money.
Yeah, imagine the medieval times and you're a beggar and all you're doing is going around to the other beggars and asking coins from their cups. And they're asking coins from your cups. And the kings are just laughing at you.
Totally. The best thing to do would be, hey, beggar, I have 10 cents. Oh, I have 10 cents too.
Right.
Is there a way that we could work together and have 20 cents?
And now we're talking about socialism.
Well, okay. I mean, come on. If socialism exists in any system, it's the independent film system.
This is true.
Dude, we are just two people who have been doing this for many, many years who have a lot of damn opinions.
This is true.
And we think everybody's interested in our damn opinion.
Is this therapy? It kind of feels like therapy. We're giving ourselves therapy.
Okay.
Sitting on our own couches here.
These are chairs.
Okay, that's fine.
So, instead of tweaking this down, it's called editing.
Editing it down and losing a lot. We thought, well, why don't we just do a two-parter?
And then we could take a day off this week. We're gonna sign off on part 1.
That's right, and you're going to pick up on part 2. Wait, no?
Oh yeah, but we still didn't introduce ourselves, so we actually need to introduce ourselves though
Okay.
This is like a tail slate. That's what we're doing.
We're tail slating.
You know, we never get this information out in the beginning, hardly ever,
Right.
and we're just going to have to tail slate.
That's right. Just imagine it's upside down.
But I'm Tracy. I almost said I was John. I'm Tracy.
Wasn't that the perfect ender?
But we didn't actually give the information for the tail slate.
Okay. All right. Let's do that.
I'm Tracy.
I'm John.
And this is Married to Movies.
It's hard not to get romantic about movies. Thanks for listening to Married to Movies. Jon and Tracy will meet you for breakfast tomorrow. Thanks to our sponsor, Movie Mode Merch, comfortable graphic tees made by and for awesome filmmakers to wear on set and off. Check them out on Insta at Movie Mode Merch.